when someone comes back in a dream, they're not coming back in a dream. We're actually meeting them in spirit body, our soul, their soul. And when they leave here, when someone dies, it's usually up to 30 days. They are doing other stuff.
I'm younger than the current president, so, it's not over yet. But as time has gone by and I've learned more and seen more and whatever, I honestly have no desire to be president of the United States.
Hey, welcome to Divine Guidance Institute, Modern Day Mystery School, and teaching you the ancient way of knowing so you never get blindsided again. And today we have on our featured guest, we're so excited, Kim Sorrelle, and her Trust Yourself experiences with intuition and dreams and knowingness. Welcome, Kim.
Hey, Kim.
Thank you so much. So glad to be here. I love you guys. So it's an honor to be here.
It's the Mutual Admiration Society.
There you go.
Absolutely.
What do you do, actually, Kim? Tell us a little bit about, just who you are and your backstory, maybe what you do.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I started my first business when I was 18. So business has always been a passion of mine. I love business in general. But I write, I speak. I've done some really interesting things in life. I run a nonprofit. I've just got to have this great life that just keeps being great. In fact, I'm in this dare with this group on Facebook to go live. And yesterday the question was, if money wasn't an issue, what would you be doing right now? Like, what would you be doing? And I thought, the reality is I'd be doing exactly what I'm doing. Like, I love my life. So I can't think of anything different. I mean, I'd help more people, right? I'd be able to help more people. But as far as my day to day or what I'm doing, where I live, whatever, I wouldn't change it.
Wow. That's saying something, know?
Kind of like the old axiom. And I've had a lot of jobs in my life too. And when I found what I loved, there's no more work. I'm not working anymore. I do it because I love it. I would do it if I were the only person on the planet. I'd still do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Fully entertaining, Yeah. And what's the name of your book? You have a book.
I do. I've got a couple books, but my latest book, my most recent book, is called Love Is. And I decided I was going to figure out the true meaning of love. I mean, I think if you put 12 people in a room and you said, what is love? You'd get 12 different answers. Right. And so I wanted to figure out the true meaning of love. My husband passed away, and he was an incredible, wonderful man. And I wanted to make sure that at 47 years old and suddenly single, that I was doing life right. So I thought, well, love is an important thing. I want to make sure I'm doing it right. So I started looking, and there was like horrible information on love, frankly. And so I decided I would dedicate a full year to figuring out the true meaning. And I'll tell you guys, I have a hard time committing to an entree when I go out for dinner. So to commit a full year to something was a real stretch for me. But the things that I found out about love just blew my mind and rocked my world. And so Love is the stories of how I figured out love.
Wow. That's wonderful.
What is love? Can you get it down to one sentence? Just kidding. I bet you don't.
Yeah, I kind of can. Well, there's a lot of things love is not. So, we're taught that love is a two-way street. We're taught that love is 50-50. We're taught that love is a feeling, an emotion, and it's none of those things. Love is who you are. Love is walking, talking, living, breathing, giving, doing. Love is who you are, and how you decide to show up as love is up to you.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Nice.
And I think you're really on the money in terms of it's so different for each person. And it's not only a mental construct, but it is a feeling. And, it's like when you say, oh, okay, I'm in love. And someone says, well, how do you know? Well, I can't put that into words for you. If you don't know, I can't help you. You're on the other side of the door, because when you go through that door and love, it's very unique, and it's special to that person that's in love. That knowingness about the love. It kind of it reminds me of experiences I've had where I just know something, and love is kind of like that. It's that inner knowingness, and that is love. It's interesting in reading some of the ancient texts, and I wasn't looking for the meaning of love, but I ran across it, and it said that love is at the center of everything. It's literally the super glue that holds the universe together. And they were being literal, not figurative. They went on to say, this is literal. It holds everything. It's the thread that weaves
The
reality
vibration.
together, the vibration.
Mhm.
And I thought, whoa, no wonder, no wonder love is so all encompassing and so different for each person. And the fact that love is, that's a great that's a
It
great
is.
title
It
for a
is.
book. It like says it all in two words. Love is. What else is it? It just is. So good. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I've never heard that, but it really is. It is the super glue. It is the thing. So I believe in a higher power. I believe in God, and and that it says in the Bible, in that ancient text, it says that God is love.
Mhm.
That God is love, not that God loves,
Yeah. God
but
is
that God is love. So love is something you are rather than something that is just kind of out there. Like I think about if you guys ever watched a scary movie and then gone to bed that night and you hear every creak and every bang and every bump, right? And you're so afraid. Well, that's an emotion or a feeling, right? But that goes away. The next night you sleep better, right? You forget about the scary movie because fear comes and goes, but love does not come and go. Love is a constant because again, love is who you are.
Yeah, it sure is. It's a vibration. And it's divine love, not the mushy lower level love,
Mhm.
but that higher vibration of neutrality. It's a supportiveness and a detachment with giving free will and not trying to control. It's just this neutral vibration of harmony. It's just pure harmonious vibe. And yeah, they even call it the ocean of love and mercy. Like, what is God? It's the ocean of love and mercy. And it's that neutral, perfect vibe, which is why we always joke around. You've heard us. We talk about being a love ball.
Mhm.
Like, be a love ball. No matter what, be a love ball. And that, which is just full of divine love, you know. And you're either a love ball or a sourpuss on any given day, and who is winning out? And it coordinates, or correlates with your higher self or your little self, who's running the show, the ego or this, that, and the other. So
It-
your book Love is just
yeah,
spot on.
and it made me reminded me of what you said when you look into like the Bible. God is love, and in first grade I opened my catechism. I was being taught by the nuns 8 years of with the nuns as a Catholic, and I opened the catechism, and it first thing at the top, God is love. And I remember I said, "Sister, what does that mean?" And she goes, "Well, it took 8 years, literally, for them to discourse on what is love." And I thought, "Wow, love must be something special." Yeah, you nailed it.
But that's really cool, and it takes us right into our we wanted you on because of your experiences with your knowingness, your intuition, love. You knew right off, and we'll just jump in. Um, Based on what you've shared with us, you knew right right off rip that your husband was the one. So do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, well, sure. So I was never going to get married or have children. I had my life laid out. I was going to be the first woman president. And I knew where I was going to go to school and then where I was going to go to school. And then I was going to page and I was going to, do all the things that would set me up for that life. Like that's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to be. And then May of my senior year in high school, I met this man. He walked into the room. I was playing pool at a bowling alley, and he walked in, and I was like, oh, there's something. I don't know. There's something. But I didn't really talk to him that night at all. But like a week later, he called and he said he was having a party at his house and did I want to come? He was 4 years older. I was a senior in high school. I was 17. He's 21. And did I want to come to the party? And I said, well, give me a minute because I had to act like, I'm not that easy that I can just go to a party, right? I had to pretend had a calendar full of adventure or whatever. But then I said, yeah, I'll come. And I hung up the phone. And at that moment, my mom and I had been sitting at the table. It was in the morning, a Saturday morning, and just chatting. And I got off the phone and I said, Mom, that's the man I'm going to marry. Yeah. I just knew. I don't know. Looking back, I don't even know why I said those words, frankly. But for whatever reason, I never thought I'd say that about anybody or would never say that about anybody. It kind of caught me off guard in a way. But then I went to his party that night and he drove me home after the party and I saw him the next day. And 10 days later, I asked him to marry me and he said yes.
Whoa. And then, all right, 10 days in, then when did you get married? How soon after that?
That was May. We got married the next April. So a little less than a year later.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, what a story. It's funny. You said the same exact words that I said after I met Michael as my instructor the first day of class. I ran home and told my roommate, Heather, I'm going to marry this guy. And she thought I was nuts. He's twice my age, blah, blah, blah. So I know what you mean. You said the same exact words to your mother. It's like, wow.
And it's interesting that you mentioned you didn't even know where the words were coming from. They just kind of came out of your mouth, and you said these things that were coming from somewhere, your heart. But it's really, I've found for me when I say something that I go, whoa, I can't believe I said that. Where'd that come from? And it's being a channel for Holy Spirit, literally being a channel for the higher power, for Holy Spirit, for God. It comes, and when I'm clear, I don't mentally check it. It just comes through. I let it come through. Later I go, whoa, was that really me? No, it was Holy Spirit using me as a channel because I was open enough to go with it and to say it. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, and when I did think about marriage, even though I wasn't ever planning on it before I met my husband, I just knew because I was, 17 and so mature, I'm sure. But I just knew that whoever I would marry, if I would, he had to have two things. He had to be over 6 foot tall because my very short mom married a very short man, and I wanted to give my kids a chance at some height. And he had to be really good looking, so he'd look good in my wedding pictures. And when I'd met him at the bowling alley, he walked in and just because he was so cute and he was 6'3" and tall, dark, and handsome. And so when I met him but didn't talk to him, I was thinking, oh gosh, it's just, this infatuation sort of, I wasn't really even infatuated, but just this admiration or something of this really cute guy. And so I wasn't even with a phone call, it's not like I'd been thinking about him or I'd been dreaming about him, or anything else. It was just a phone call and it was just that simple. But yeah, I mean, I agree. It's like you know when you know because you're open and being told. And so you can know that you know that you know.
What did your mother say?
Well, when she first met, my mother didn't really say anything then. I don't remember even her saying anything about it. Not like, oh, Kim, or nothing. I think we just, I said the words and we went on to what we were talking about, whatever it was. And yeah, she didn't really say anything. When she met him for the first time, I said, Mom, what did you think? And she said, well, he's got a nice ass. I went, oh, I don't know what that means. I don't know if you should be looking, I don't know, whatever, but I don't know if that was her stamp of approval or what that was. That was it. Yeah.
That's funny. Wow. And then what did she say when you told her that you asked him to marry you?
My
Let's keep
parents.
it a secret for a minute. Did you?
No. Oh, no secrets. I have a hard time keeping any sort of a secret ever, unless somebody asks me to. Then I definitely will. But no, I told them, both of my parents. My dad, they did not express to me anything about that's foolish. You don't hardly know him. I think in their minds they probably thought, oh, Kim, whatever, you'll get over this. You're not going to really do it. Maybe is what they were thinking. But I was all set to go to college in the fall to Michigan State University, and so they said you still have to go to school. Our only thing is you still have to go to school. Well, okay. So I did. I went in the fall and racked up huge long distance bills because that was back in the day when you paid for long distance. And
where was he from? Where was he from?
My city, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So they didn't really, and so I wonder, you guys would know this answer. I always kind of wondered why they were sort of silent about it, why they didn't go, you're only 17 years old. What is it that you're thinking? And you've got these plans for your whole life. And, nothing like that. Nothing like that. In fact, they kind of said the opposite. Like we saw each other every day. Like we couldn't get enough of each other. Right. And they said, good, because if you're really thinking you're going to commit to this guy, we want you to spend a lot of time with him to make sure that you really want to commit to this guy. I know. Right. So, yeah.
They were advanced themselves. They were coming from a higher place, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sure. Because that's not a typical response at all. No. So they were tapped in, Mm-hmm.
I got a question for you, Kim. Do you think, having gone through that whole thing and the knowingness attached to meeting him, and you just knew it in your heart, do you think these things are perhaps events that are set before we come in to this life? In other words, you are going to meet the one, like it's already set in stone. It's already been etched in part of the things that will unfold and happen in your daily life. And it's kind of waiting for you. And then you hit that moment, and that's why you get that feeling. Or is it, you think it's something spontaneous that occurs in life itself?
Yeah, that's such an interesting question. Because the way I see it is time is something we manufactured, right? Like we made a calendar, and we made a clock. We made time in a way, right? And as things progress and whatever. But I think with God there is no time, and so I think he knows the future, he knows the past, he knows the in between, and so I think God knew it was going to happen, and not that he. But we also have free will, right? And even with that, I think God knows the choices we're going to make, but he doesn't make us make those choices. And so it's just because he knows doesn't mean he's a puppet master. He just already knows because he's God, right? But I don't know if it's so much predestined as or I don't, I'm curious what you guys think, but I don't know that it's like predestined in a way that I needed to be there at that moment, whatever. But God already knew it was going to happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What I'm saying? Yeah.
We have a saying that destiny is what you're born with, and free will is what you make of it.
I like that.
So it's kind of a combo. It's a blended thing. Destiny is what you're born with, this deck of cards, if you will, the situations. But then free will is because we have total free will to manifest greatness or nothingness, or so little combo planner, you know?
Mm-hmm. Surf and turf. Yeah.
Yeah. Lobster and steak, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so then what happened with school when you got married in April, the following? What did you do with school? Did you continue or did you?
I didn't. I didn't because my husband was still in school.
Mhm.
He was putting himself through school, and so he was working full time and then taking classes, and
Mm.
so I went to work so that he could finish school.
Mhm.
So that's what I did, and then I started a business, and so I never went back to college because I started a business and it was successful, and then another one, it was successful, and so there wasn't I don't know, like there wasn't a deep need for what I did in life. There wasn't like this
Mhm.
huge need to go back to school.
So then it sounds like you gently let go of your choice to become president. Like that path, even though that was a deep desire, it just seems like it kind of faded gently.
You know, it's interesting because I was going to be a political science major. That's what I was going to do, and then become a lawyer. And I was real into politics at the time. Like I worked on campaigns. Like I was, full on in. Like loved it, loved it, loved it, loved everything government. And so once in a while, someone had asked me because I didn't keep it a secret that this was my destiny. This was my path. I thought my destiny, right? To be the president. And so, people would say, well, you gave up your dream. And I'd say, well, when I was younger, you have to be 35. I'm not even 35 yet. Like, who says it's over?
Mhm.
And people ask me now and I'll say, well, I'm younger than the current president. So, it's not over yet. But as time has gone by and I've learned more and seen more and whatever, I honestly have no desire to be president of the United States. I
Mhm.
think that you can do a lot more with your life on not being the president of the United States.
Hmm. Yeah. Right. 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 Right.
I think you would be a better president than all the politicians right now. That's for sure.
Well, thanks for that.
But that's a good point too. You kind of in your journey, and I would that's kind of like a reflection of my journey and what I've learned. I was going to do certain things. I went to law school, and I never took the bar exam, never became a lawyer, because as I was finishing law school, I thought, oh my God, I will be in a little box doing legal stuff and trying to work my way up the legal ladder. It's like, whoa. And I realized there wasn't enough freedom in terms of experience there. I stepped totally into a different area, um, and went in to be a sociologist in graduate school and teaching. And it was like, and I'm so glad I did. I've never regretted it. And it sounds like you kind of took a similar journey in the sense that politics was your thing and you're into it, but at some point you realize that wasn't you. It wasn't the expression of all you could be. Is that true?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And today in 2025, I kind of ignore politics for the most part. I've got friends who have anxiety over politics, and I just assume not have that anxiety. I always kind of think of, well, whoever's in office, I still have a roof over my head, still have a car to drive, I still eat every day. And so, no matter who's in office, my life does not shift much, right? It
Yes.
doesn't, right? Doesn't really affect it that much. I'm
Yes.
curious. I have a question for you guys. So, Mike, because of your choices, you're this professor. Nic, beautiful, gorgeous blonde, walks into your classroom. And so, had you been a lawyer, do you think you still would have met Nic? Or do you think,
No. And
yeah,
I would have gone a different path. And that's why I had it was a realization of this is not my path. And then the path that I stepped onto took me a different direction, even to a different city, to eventually teaching at a college where Nicole walks into the class, which matched up with the dream I had 3 years before, showing me Nicole was going to walk into my class. It was like, whoa. And it's kind of, I think in really pursuing our true path, the one that leads to the greatest self for us in terms of expansion and knowingness and who we really are, um, automatically takes us down a different road so we can bump into those, like meeting the one in your life. We got to go a different direction. It doesn't have to do with politics, and it kind of takes us a newer way that opens doors that previously we wouldn't have stepped through. You know what I mean? And I think most things are, when we look at, oh, I'm going to be president or a politician or I'm going to be a lawyer, and it's like those are boxes, little boxes, and I've looking back, I would have been very confined because I looked back at some friends I went to school with who became lawyers and judges, and they had without judging, they just had a very linear life. Let me put it that way. I mean it in the gracious sense, though they did what they wanted to do. But for me, I needed something more open. Yeah.
Well, you had a big mission.
Yeah.
You're still,
Yeah.
delivering on your mission.
Yeah.
Your message of trust yourself.
Exactly.
Which is why Kim is with us today.
Yeah. Well, and there's probably a lot of people who never get to that point of understanding their mission.
Right.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. But if they use the tools, the trust yourself tools of dream, science, and intuition, you tap into what your mission is. When we were 20, I was 24. That's when we hooked up, and we were driving. And I said to Michael, we're gonna call it Trust Yourself because it's about the people, it's for the people, and we're gonna uplift humanity. And he looked at me. He thought I was nuts. Now that came out of me. I was 24. Like, where did that come from? You know what I mean?
Right.
Who the hell's thinking about humanity? I don't know.
Yeah, you're only thinking about the human next to you when you're 24, probably.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about having a drink and partying down with Nicole. She's talking about uplift humanity. I said, the hell with the humanity. Let's take ourselves into consideration here. Yeah.
That's funny. Funny. So anyway, back to you. So I'll just let you have the floor because you have other stories you'd like, other experiences, not stories. To say it's a story, it just doesn't hold it in its highest light. Your other experiences you're going to share with us and with the audience. So
yeah, well, like I said earlier, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And one interesting thing about that, I don't know, funny, but interesting thing about that is people would say to me, "Oh my gosh, Kim, why you? Why you? Like, you do this, you help people, you do whatever, you're a good person." And my response was always, well, why not me? Like, why would I be immune? Like, I don't think God is in heaven going, you stole that pack of gum when you were in 6th grade, so I'm going to smite you with breast cancer when you're 47 years old. Like, I don't think it works that way. It can happen to anybody. It's in our genetic makeup. It's whatever it all is, as they discover more and more about cancer. But so it was more, why not me? Like, which I think gave me a whole different attitude. Like, I never had a woe is me. I had a let's get through this thing, kind of attitude. But then my husband started having stomach problems and went to the doctor. And after I was diagnosed, and went to the doctor, and he said, take some Tums. 2 months later, went back again because his stomach wasn't getting any better. And the doctor said, I really think it's nerves because of Kim. So just take some Rolaids, Tums, whatever. 2 months later, went to a gastro specialist, and they said the same thing. And so a week later, I had to have a full hysterectomy as part of my cancer because of the kind of cancer it was and whatever. And so I was still recovering in bed. And I woke up and he was awake and not comfortable. And I said, that's it. Go to the ER. At least they'll run a test. They'll do something, right? And so he drove himself to the emergency room because I'm still wearing elastic waist pants and watching Grey's Anatomy reruns or whatever I'm doing, and waiting for a phone call. And finally got the phone call. And he said, I guess they're going to keep me overnight. And I'm like, keep you overnight? They don't keep anybody overnight. What do you mean keep you overnight? On a Friday, nonetheless, right? And so I put on like real people clothes and I jumped in my car in my Vicodin-induced state. I drove like a bat out of hell to get to the hospital. And I was almost there and my phone rang again. And he said, I guess there's a spot on my liver. And I'm like, spot on your liver? What is this? And so I just started bawling. Parked my car, ran in, holding all parts of my body because I was sore everywhere. And they told me where he was. And I ran over there, tears streaming down my eyes. And he was behind a curtain. I whipped back the curtain and he's sitting on the edge of the bed as if nothing is going on. And he said, listen, I am not going to invite you out anymore if this is the way you're going to behave. And I'm like, listen, buddy, you are not allowed to be funny right now. But so it took a few days, like it does, to get an actual diagnosis. And pancreatic cancer is a bad one. You know, those aren't words you want to hear in 2025. You know, hopefully there will be more that they can do for it. But it was throughout his abdomen, throughout, you know, in his liver, which is usually the first area of metastases for pancreatic cancer. And so, you know, he was stage 4, but he was 6'3", handsome, like I said, and healthy. He was 51. I was 47, and he was very fit. He was like 175. His job was very active, and he ate great food. Although he said that donuts were the 5th food group, so I'm not sure how great of food he ate. But we left there. We left after we got the diagnosis, and said, you know, we're just going to pray. We're going to pray, you know, either get a healing like the deaf and the lame, right? Or the greatest thing, you know, go to heaven. And, but please no pain. And that was our prayer. And, you know, pancreatic cancer is supposed to be the most painful cancer. And he did not have pain. We had great hospice and he had no pain until the morning he woke up. On a Sunday morning, he woke up 6 weeks later. They told us he'd live more than a year, probably. So 6 weeks into this, he woke up one morning in pain. And he was sitting on the edge of the bed. And so I was holding him from behind because I didn't want him to fall off, but it hurt to lay down. Called the hospice nurse. She came right over, gave him some morphine, you know, whatever. She's on the phone ordering hospital equipment and whatever. And I said, should I call my kids? And she's like, oh, no, you've got, you know, weeks, months. No, you don't need to call your kids. But I knew I did not have weeks or months. I knew that I did not. And so a couple minutes later, asked her again, you sure I shouldn't call my kids? And she's like, no, I'm sure. Well, I could feel his pain. I could feel his misery. And I loved him so much. And we were so connected that I whispered in his ear. I said, baby, just go. And he took his last breath. That was it. Yeah. And so it was, yeah, I mean, I wailed, of course, and sad for me, happy for him. He never has to pay another bill, right? No more sickness, no more whatever. But, you know, it was sad for me. And then I prayed for a dream. Like, you know, you hear there are people showing up in a dream, right? And so I prayed for a dream. I'm like, Lord, just bless me with a dream. I want him in a dream. And it took a while. It was a few weeks later of me begging for a dream that I had this dream. And my dream was I got out of bed and I walked into my family room, and there were 2 sofas in there, and my father-in-law was on one and my husband was on the other. And I was elated to see him. I was so excited. And I love my father-in-law, who died 2 years before my husband, also from pancreatic cancer. And I was excited to see them both. But obviously, seeing my husband was just like so wonderful. So I, you know, go over, I sit next to him and I'm holding his hand, and they were there, but they had like their elbows on their knees and like their head in their hands. And they were just looked so tired. And my husband said, it's so hard to be here. And immediately I thought, oh, it's like the weight of the world. Like there's a heaviness here. that we're not going to have. And so, we don't notice it because we live with it. But I thought, oh, of course, that's the weight of the world. And then he said, I said, what do what's going on? What are you doing? My father-in-law said he didn't have his job yet. And my husband said he did have his job and he was working in the sacristy, which is not a word I use every day. But your Catholic roots, my Catholic roots, we know that word, but I hadn't said it in years or thought of it in years. But immediately I thought, well, of course you are. It made absolutely perfect sense. Perfect sense. Of course you are. Sometimes people joke, oh, he's probably up playing golf, or, they're probably up whatever, playing cards, whatever. And so I never even thought about that, I guess. But yeah, so it just made perfect sense to me. And then he said, I'm so sorry, but it's so tough to be here. And I said, go, just don't worry about it. Love you. Great to see you. But, go back, go. And then I went back to bed. And that was my dream.
Wow. Wow. What a gift. Oh my God.
Yeah. What a gift, for sure.
How soon after you were married did the event happen? His passing. How long were you together?
Oh, a month shy of 29 years, almost 29 years.
Okay. Wow. Nice, long time together.
Yeah.
And then how long ago has it been?
I was in 2008.
Wow.
So a long time ago. Yeah. It'll be 17 years in a couple of days.
Yeah. 17.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Have you had any other dreams that he's in, or?
I have. That
Okay.
was the most powerful one
Mhm.
of the dreams that I've had. Other dreams, I have a question for you guys, because one thing, it was hard for me for years to picture him in my past. It was hard to picture him at Christmas with the whole family there, and he was there, for 29 years, but it was just hard for me to picture him in, and for whatever reason. I don't know if that's a familiar thing or just an odd thing that happened with me, but dreams that I've had since then have been him in situations, because that's another thing that I prayed was, let me see him at Christmas, let me have those memories of, I had some vague, of course I knew he was there. Of course I remembered he was there, but I couldn't picture him there for what, I just couldn't picture him there. And so the dreams that I've had have been him at Christmas, or him and I on vacation, or him, whatever, at work or whatever. And so then, things have come back. Now I picture him there.
Mm-hmm. How soon after? Because it's really cool, because you were really asking with a sincere heart, and that's the key. What I have found, when we ask with a sincere heart, that's when we're given the gift of knowingness, the gift of a dream experience, or what have you. When our heart is pure, when it's sincere, and so the event happened in 2008, and you were asking, when did the dream experience occur? The big one with you and his father-in-law and him.
Yeah, it was at least a month after. I don't remember exactly when, but it was several weeks after he died, because I just kept asking, because I just wanted to see him so bad. And so, but it took a while.
Wow.
That's it. Yeah, that's interesting. From what I've spent many years researching life, death, life after death, where we go, what we do. Seven heavens, you've heard, even in the Bible, it talks about the seven heavens. There's different types of different places that people go. You could call them heavens. But in many cases, what you said is very accurate, in the sense that when someone comes back in a dream, they're not coming back in a dream. We're actually meeting them in spirit body, our soul, their soul. And when they leave here, when someone dies, it's usually up to 30 days. They are doing other stuff, being prepared, being met and shown, hey, you're in this heaven, you're in this spot, you're doing this, and here's your job. Everybody has a little job on the other side. And so they're kind of busy. So that's why they don't come back immediately. When we ask, like, boy, I had a few things to say. I need a dream so I can finish things up with them. And I've experienced similar. It's like a month or two, and finally they'll come back. It's interesting because your husband said it's so hard. It's so heavy here. And when they're coming from a very light spiritual place, the other heaven or planes are very light and spiritual. Coming back here is very heavy. So it's coming back even to meet in a dream requires some effort on their part. So, it's interesting. There's a master. He was talking just recently, and he said, he said it. He said, when you're facing death, he said, be grateful. He said, you're going to be on the other side. You'll look back and go, wow, what a dark, mean place, how heavy it is here compared to where you are. You just went through the door. It's a great time. So that kind of it reminds me of what you were saying in your story,
Yeah. And it's so heavy here, Kim, that actually we need 5 bodies to be here. Soul, then we have our astral body covering, and our causal body covering, and our mental body, and our etheric body, and soul. We need all these coverings just to
operate.
Yeah, to function down here.
Operate here, yeah.
Because it's so heavy. So yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, obviously you guys are so in tune and know so much that and have so much to share with the world, because I think so many people are so limited in what they know, and so they ignore things, right? They ignore signs, they ignore their intuition, they ignore whatever, or they think it can't exist, or they put it off as something else, and it's like, well, there's so much more to us and to this world and to life than most people, probably anybody, has tapped into. And you guys have, if it were a line, I think most people are, at one end of the line, one end of the spectrum, and you're so much farther down and still learning.
Yeah. But it's only through those tools, dream science and intuition, and testing it over 30 years. We've been testing the data, literally, of our own experiences and others, to go into full knowingness that when those things are shared with us, it's pure truth. And you can ask, and you can say, you can be a non-believer. I had a friend of mine, this is long ago, and she's like, if I should believe in signs, and we were going to go to lunch together, we worked together, I want to see 3 white doves. So we got in the car and we went to lunch, and she's driving down a side street in Austin, Texas, and there were 3 white doves in the street blocking us. Yes. It's like, so when we're really want to know, you can ask and you can test it. And I don't mean from a silly perspective, because then you're not going to get your answers. But when you sincerely want to know something or want to be shown the truth of anything, we've got the ability to know, full knowingness from our higher power, from our higher self, from our connection. Even for the atheist, just call it the universe. Hell, I don't care what we call it, but it's that higher level of wisdom. And then we had one guy come to a seminar once. We were doing a Trust Yourself workshop, and he thought it was all bullshit. And so we said, set up a sign. I want to see a sign. If this is real, I need to know, and I'm going to set up a sign. and he wanted to see upside down balloons, right? So then, before he got home, after he left the workshop, he's calling us, super excited, like really kind of screaming on the phone. Oh my God, I just saw 13 upside down balloons. Someone was having a party, so they hung balloons from a tree, and the balloons were deflating like the next day. So they were all hanging upside down.
Oh, funny. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then people wonder, well, how does that happen? Is that magic? No. Soul, which is our highest part of ourselves, has access 24/7 to the past, the present, and the future. And it knows ahead of time what we're going to see, what we're not going to see, in order for us to pick out the appropriate sign or question to get the right answer. So it's soul operating at that higher level of asking the question and knowing what's coming. And so that's how the whole thing works, So
Wow. Yeah. 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 That's incredible. I didn't know how the whole thing worked. Thought, maybe God's just throwing those doves in the road or, whatever. But yeah, because I do that too, ask for signs when I'm not sure about something. Lord, which way should I go?
Yeah.
Direct me, show me, tell me,
Yeah.
give me a sign, ask for something in particular. And I think that, you guys know this so much more than I do, but when I ask for something in particular, like upside down balloons or whatever, I never ask for anything ridiculous. Well, put $1 million in my bank account and then I'll know that that's what I was doing, right? Nothing like that. But something that I wouldn't normally see or, or whatever I wouldn't normally run into and to ask. I mean, it could be a heads up penny on the sidewalk, whatever I ask for. And then when I see that thing, when I find that whatever, there is so much peace then. And so much peace that it's like, why was I ever thinking the other way?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. In those moments, the little self is doubting, So yeah, I mean, and the system is on autopilot 24/7. Dreams while we're sleeping, signs and intuition when we're awake, and it's so much fun. It's like this ongoing game, this ongoing puzzle, and people think they can't know, and that's the thing. We'll hear people talking. It's like, no, well, we can't know until we die, or we can't know until, and it's like, yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
I would have agreed with you, but now I know differently. So,
And it's interesting because, as Nicole mentioned earlier, all you need to do to know is really ask with a sincere heart. I mean, really want it, though. Really be open to it, not curiosity. I'd like to know because I'm curious. You're not going to get the answer, and you'll still be on this side of the door. But when you really want to know and you open your heart to it, we connect with that higher state of consciousness. We connect with spirit because we're really already there. And quantum has proven there's only the moment. Past and future is an illusion, literally an illusion. Everything bubbles out of the present moment, and that's all there is as a vibration. And it's nice that they've proven that because it's a mechanic that really says we're already there. All we need to do is like wake up and be aware. And suddenly I go, oh my God, there's my sign. Well, it was there the whole time, but it's kind of like I didn't notice it. And because I was open to it and in harmony with my higher self, with Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, boom, suddenly I understand it. I have knowingness, I see it, and I step into it because I've always really been there. I'm not going anywhere. I'm already there. And that's what quantum says also, or it's a hologram. Everything is a giant hologram. We're all connected. Everything is literally connected. So we can pretty much know anything. The question is, because I always tease people, I go, because they'll ask me and I'll say, the truth. Are you really ready to hear the truth? Because sometimes I've seen them go into like an anxiety attack right on with something very simple. And they go, oh my God. And it's like, okay. So they weren't really ready for the truth. And it's kind of, like you said earlier, some people are way at the back of the line and they're working on getting the truth in small bits. But if they got the whole truth, nothing but the truth, it would overwhelm them. Literally, they'd be put in, in an asylum or whatever. And so
What's
In a
it
white
needs to
jacket
be,
of some sort. Yeah.
that?
yeah, exactly. So,
Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, thanks for sharing those experiences. I mean, you're the living embodiment of trust yourself and
mhm.
following the messages from spirit, you know?
Yeah. I wish I was good at it 100% of the time, and because I think too often too, it's just easy to go your own way, kind of. And I think you got to get out of your way and,
Yep,
right.
yep,
And to really know, really listen. And life is so much better, man,
yeah.
when you're, when you're connected with people, when you're
Mhm.
connected with spirit, it's just it's so much better, such a fuller,
Mhm.
better way to live. Sure.
Yeah, it sure is.
That's a really good point, and you said it. The only thing that really stands in our way in this life is us. When I get out of my own way, everything comes to me. But when I'm like trying to do the good fight and get in there and make it happen, well, that causes a blockage, and that is the truth. When I'm just relaxed and neutral and open to what's coming in, it just flows, and that's an interesting that's a good point you made. It's really great.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You know, I think now that you're shining a spotlight on it, it'll happen. It'll increase. It
Mhm.
will increase. The dreams will increase. The signs. I mean, you already have all this going on, and as you've shared, but the more we focus on it, the more it increases.
Mhm.
Um, it's a reciprocal relationship. What I have found with spirit, and the more it's like my best friend, and I treat it as such, it's like this ongoing relationship, and it gets deeper and stronger and more, and the frequency increases, the dialogue. And I guess before we close, we'll do two things. We'll share our favorite tool for turning up the volume on spirit or our higher self, and then we'll have you do any final shout out, promo, anything you want to share with the audience. And you already are familiar with this, but for the viewers and whatnot, one magic word, right? The hue, hue. I'll give you a demo, the audience a demo. You inhale and hue. On the exhale. The cool thing, you can do it eyes open or closed, out loud or silent. So someone's uncomfortable or they're doing the dishes or they're in a meeting, you can still do the hue. And it turns up the volume on spirit, on the voice, turns up the volume on our intuition, which is, hearing the voice, if you will, or tuning in with our higher self, whatever someone's comfortable with, their belief system, and dream recall and noticing signs, because it's something, a sign's the way to notice a sign. It's real simple. It's either a coincidence that occurs or something so bizarre that it catches your attention
Out of the blue. Yep.
out
Suddenly
of
out of
the
the blue.
blue. And that saying out of the blue comes from spirit. Out of the blue, because spirit tends to be in those colors of yellows, whites, and blues. So out of the blue is an old maxim for really coming direct from God. But it happened out of the blue, type
Mhm.
thing. So a coincidence or something totally bizarre. Like we had a friend when we lived in Phoenix, and she called. She said, my palm tree is laying in my front yard, just laying there. She goes, what the hell does that mean? I said, well, probably something's going to be uprooted in your
Mhm.
life. And that doesn't mean bad necessarily. And then 1 month later, her husband got a promotion, and they were moving across the country, just like that. Boom, 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 uproot. So, but it was something so bizarre that it caught her attention. So she
Mhm.
knew there was more to it. And that's the thing. It's like, it's not like, oh, my shoe's untied. Like, no, it's real common sense. And it's got to catch your attention. And there's a message. Everything else we can disregard. So we're not overloaded with things that aren't meant for us, you know? And so we were on a show once, real quick. And the DJ or the host, rather, it was a podcast. No, it was a radio show. Anyway, he says, well, what about everyone driving by with the palm tree? Was it a message for them too? And I said, if they noticed it. Half the people aren't even going to notice that palm tree. And it's not meant for them. But the people that notice, yes. And that's their own decoding of a message. Like, that's bizarre, right? Something bizarre catches your attention. And then they can, use the same tools to ask themselves the same question. So it's real simple and real common sense and matter of fact. No woo-woo, as they call it. And the cool thing is you get to test it, right? You can test it ongoing. See the outcomes, track your data, then you get then things start rolling. So anyway, yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, back to you. Anything you'd like to share, shout out, promote? We'd love to hear it.
Well, I am literally the only Kim Sorrelle spelled my way in the entire world because my last name has way too many letters. It has 2 R's, 2 E's, 2 L's, Sorrelle. So I'm pretty easy to find. So kimsorrelle.com is my website, and I've got some resources on there. I've got a free 14-day love challenge, and I challenge you to go to it and do this love challenge because I really think that it's love that will change the world. I mean, there's songs that are written that way, right? They're written that way for a reason because it truly will change the world. Love will change every aspect of your life when you truly understand it and not manipulate it. And so Love is my book that's available there on Amazon, anywhere else. But yeah, I just encourage people to love, to figure out what love is and then live it.
Wow. 14-day love challenge. What's the name of the website or the
kimsorrelle.com.
Okay, so it's your name. Yeah, literally. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Wonderful.
And it will change it because I love that.
All right, Kim. Well, thanks so much for joining us today.
Enjoyed having you, Kim.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys.